It all started with BMX bikes and chopping down the seat posts, handlebars, cut this, cut that, cut and paste. All these things like worked their way into like real bikes. It was actually like cars that got me into motorcycles when it came to choppers, because all those old cars that we worked at the Brunses and all these chop tops, being around Gene Winfield and looking up to the Barrises and all those like custom cars became also, if you think about it, all the same era had custom bikes. When I started seeing those guys in SFV come to the shop and the shovel heads with the just stretched out, all the shit, and you realize, oh, it's just an old stock frame cut. It's not so intricate like you think. And so if you know your welding, you know how to machine, you have a little bit of that skill, you really know how to build a bike. You might have to call some people that can guide you there, but all these things led to a custom bike with a custom paint job, all done by me. And eventually it became Powerplant Motorcycles.
When I first met him, it was just barely this one place here, and they had, you know, it was very, very cramped. I remember coming here and it was just like tight. It was just half of this area right here. And then over the years, you know, I remember when he first started doing FXRs and kind of everyone got away from choppers and went on the FXR craze for a little bit. I've seen it grow from being like a bike builder and being a fabricator with like some vintage t-shirts with this print on it to really develop into a real brand, into a real parts company.
Fuck, I've known Yaniv for over 20 years. He was down the street, or down the alley I should say, before he had a much smaller shop, so I've got to see him, you know, grow as a builder and a mechanic and whatever the fuck he does, you know, like, good fucking dude, you know? He's an artist. I think with any kind of art, whether it's drawing, painting, songwriting, you know, bike building, like, I think you have to have a vision of what the end result is gonna be before you even kind of start, you know, to a certain extent. And I mean, to be able to do that with anything is tough, but when you're working with, you know, steel and metal and everything else that goes into making this shit by hand, like, hats off to him and everyone who can do that, because that shit ain't easy, you know?
Yeah, it's really important that I start my morning ritual correct, or the day at work kind of doesn't work right. So there's always things to do at home, such as like all my plants need a daily hour to like take care of all my plants, my animals. It's my Zen moment too. Like sometimes I have to escape from the shop and just go chill in my garden, listen to the waterfall. It's almost like being somewhere out in nature, and being in Hollywood here, we don't really have nature. Like you have to like travel to go get that, and I'll get stuck here for months on a project, and thank God I have all that set up at home, because I can have my morning ritual every day, like feeling like I'm, you know, brewing my coffee in the outdoors. You know, I got my chickens, my bunnies, I got my dogs, I have everything I need pretty much right there and then. That allows me to have a clear head when I go into work. Come in with my coffee, roll the bikes out, get my tools prepared, smoke a little bit of my blunt, save a little bit for later, put on the music, and then start really like working hard in the brain department, you know?
Yaniv is Yaniv, and he comes from a whole different world. His bikes are really wickedly badass and different than the other guys. I mean, he has his own unique style, he has his own brand, and that is extremely cool. Since knowing Yaniv and the change of Powerplant and the progress and/or where it's gone from when it first started, I mean, leaps and bounds. And now he is, you know, when I was in, like I was saying, I was traveling with him in Indonesia, people just love his fabrication and his bike building and his bikes. And it was kind of cool to see basically from the beginning. Yeah, he's definitely stepped it up, and he continues to step it up. And it seems as though he's never going to stop.